those look like?
Nails.
Well, the question remains whether you can survive nail shot into the head. Surprisingly, yes, you can, although such incidents are very rare, and the survival depends on the trajectory of nails inflicted into the brain and the brain regions involved in this incident. Nevertheless, my name is Marcin Wojnowski. I am a neuroscientist and a second-year medical student with a huge interest in the brain and brain tumors. I don't think so if I would be exaggerating if I said that one of the most famous cases of brain injury in history is the case of Phineas Gage. On September 13, 1848, a 25-year-old rail worker was preparing an explosion with blasting powder, fuse, and sand. The sand was meant to direct the blast into the rock, but that step was skipped because Mr. Gage was interrupted by his friend, and as you can imagine, things did not go that well. As a result, the explosion fired unexpectedly a 1.1 meter iron rod, 3.2 centimeters thick, weighing 6 kilograms, straight through his skull. To be exact, the iron rod entered through his left cheek, passed behind his left eye, and exited through the top of his skull, destroying a large portion of his frontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for personality, decision making, and emotional control. So you must think that he had died immediately, right? Right? No. Surprisingly, he survived. He had convulsions. Then, with his friend's help, he stood up and spoke within minutes. In fact, he survived another 12 years, eventually dying from a condition called status epilepticus, prolonged seizures, likely related to his long-term brain injury because at the end it was a massive brain injury. But the most surprising fact to me is that he was incredibly lucky not to be taken down by infection. Remember, this was 1848, 8 years before antibiotics like penicillin were discovered in 1928, and nearly a century before they were widely introduced into medicine in the 1940s. And back then, most surgeons did not even wash their hands. In 1847, Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis had just shown that hand washing saved lives, but many doctors dismiss it, even saying things like, "Gentlemen, do not wash hands," meaning that gentlemen's hands are always clear. It is ridiculous as it sounds, but that was the reality back then. Did Gage's case shock medicine immediately? Of course not. At the time, many people believed in so-called neurology, the idea that the brain was made up of separate organs, each responsible for a trait like combativeness, secretiveness, or cautiousness. On top of that, there were phrenology practitioners that were measuring the bumps on the skull that could predict your future and reveal your personality. Gage's survival and those wild personality shifts that he experienced did not seal the deal right away on brain localizations. But fast forward to the 1860s when Dr. Paul Broca pinpointed how damage to a tiny spot in the left frontal lobe could wipe out someone's ability to speak. And that spot, it's now called Broca's area. Don't get me wrong, Broca's area is anatomically present in both hemispheres, but functionally, it's in the dominant one. And in 95 to 99% of right-handers like me, that's the left frontal lobe. Interestingly, in around 70 to 80% of left-handers, it's still located in the left frontal lobe too. Then, in the 1870s, Dr. Karl Wernicke connected another hotspot to straight-up language comprehension. And although they are parked in totally separate spots, this is where the beauty of our brain happens. They are wired together by this white matter highway called the arcuate fasciculus.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Don't blame me, I did not come up with these names. Blame somebody from the 19th century. But basically, these two names come from Latin, and the arcuate basically means curved, and fasciculus means bundle. So literally, the arcuate fasciculus means the curved bundle. Because at the end, the brain is made up of billions of bundles. That's why I love the brain. Not because of all of these fancy names, but because it's a mystery. Every time I look at the brain or study it, it feels like I'm staring into the universe. When you look at the night sky yourself, you'll see familiar stars like Jupiter, Venus, Saturn with its beautiful rings. But I can assure you, every night there's always a new star to discover. We've captured billions of stars out there, yet billions more remain unseen. It's the same with the brain. We've uncovered so many of its secrets, and still there is so much left to explore. But anyway, we are just drifting too far away from our patient with nails in his head, so let's go back to him.
I can't see my hands.
Oh my God, he's conscious, but
Breathe
blind.
deeply, George. You won't pass out.
There's 4 milligrams of morphine, titrate up to 10.
Alright, so McDreamy says morphine 4 milligrams titrates to 10. So what does that mean? Morphine is an opioid. It works mainly by activating so-called neuroreceptors, which are located in the brain, brainstem, and in spinal cord. Those receptors normally respond to your own natural pain-relieving chemicals like endorphins. Like whenever you were eating a chocolate, for example, and you felt this mini wave of pleasure, basically endorphins help with that. Morphine, on the other hand, hits the same system but much stronger, which is why it reduces pain and can make people feel relaxed and euphoric. However, the point is that neuroreceptors, as I mentioned, are also located in the brainstem, where breathing is controlled. So too much morphine can slow breathing down. That's why dosing is done gradually and monitored.
You have to, you know what? I don't want him to move.
I can't see.
It's okay. We need you to be very still, Mr.
Cruz. Jorge Cruz. He tripped and fell down a flight of stairs holding a nail gun.
Sick.
Oh, alright, that's rough. Falling off a ladder is bad enough, but getting shot by a nail gun on the way down, that's very unlucky and quite frankly a pretty rare type of traumatic brain injury. However, the most important thing he said is, I can't see. And to be honest, to understand why he suddenly can't see, we need a very quick reminder of how vision works, because vision isn't just the eyes, it's a whole electrical chain from the eyes to the brain. To see anything, the light has to bounce off an object and enter your eyes. No light, no vision. If I drop you in a pitch black cave, I don't care how good your eyesight is, you're seeing nothing. Like literally nothing. Your eyes are not magic cameras, they need light. Light enters the eye, gets focused onto the retina at the back, and is converted into electrical signals. Those signals travel through the optic nerves to the optic chiasm, then continue to the back of the brain, where the occipital lobe turns them into vision. And yes, the eyes do not see. They just collect light. The brain does the seeing. To suddenly lose vision in both eyes, the damage, like in the form of nails, like in this example, must hit a shared part of the visual pathway. That means either both eyes themselves, both optic nerves, the optic chiasm, or the visual cortex at the back of the brain.
Everything affected. You feel this? Numbness on his right side and limbs. What's our immediate concern?
Infection.
Right.
Yeah. Infection. Infection actually poses a significant threat to patients in hospital settings. I know that we have antibiotics, many other tools that were not available over 100 years ago. However, still it is a huge threat. For example, a study from 2017 has shown that there were 10 million sepsis-related deaths globally. So it is a huge threat.
I want to be pulling these nails out in the next half hour. I need a CT.
CTs are down.
What?
They exchanged them out last night. Computers crashed, have them back up by 1.
Typical. So what are the options?
An MRI.
No.
No MRI. You can't just throw him into an MRI. MRI is basically a gigantic magnetic field. So look, we all live on planet Earth. That is constantly spinning, and it takes roughly 24 hours to complete one rotation. Because of its liquid iron core, it also generates magnetic field, which, by the way, protects us from solar radiation. And you can actually see that protection in action as the aurora borealis, a magnificent phenomena. So now, if we had to measure how strong this magnetic field is, we would get about 30 to 60 microtesla, depends on geolocation. Now, if it comes to MRI, those come in 3 different versions: 1.5 Tesla, 3 Tesla, and 7 Tesla. 1.5 Tesla is 30,000 more powerful than magnetic field. 3 Tesla is 60,000 more powerful than magnetic field. And 7 Tesla is 140,000 more powerful than our Earth magnetic field. So you can just imagine what would happen if we had taken this patient into an MRI. It would be a tragic. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope you like it. I hope you learned something. And I really hope that you'll come next time to see next reaction video, and we'll see how this channel unfolds. Take care.